And welcome to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina joining us today. And I hope I did practice this before the show. So if I mess this up, I apologize.
It's Brad. Sound it out. You can do it.
Brad and Tara. We would like to welcome Brad Heffner and
Tara Deljanovan.
That's right, of the Community Theater League in anticipation of tonight's opening production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Before we talk about the show, before we dive into all of that, Brad and Tara, you're going to be disappointed by this, but the first question of every show, Mark, how are you feeling today?
Everyone else is disappointed by it, so why shouldn't we just? I'm surprised, there was a basketball ref named Tim Deljanovan. So you don't even like any of the refs. So.
I just don't know their names. They're the least thing I'm focused on.
I understand. I am good. I wanted to tell a story, and now I can't remember what it was. But I do want to do this because I don't know if Terry, as I know Brad is a big movie buff. Yes. Brad may be actually more of a buff. He may be like a movie addict.
Okay.
But yes, at times, yes.
When we talked about Brad Pitt, just not that long, and we had the conversation about, and we kind of said Moneyball was his best role, and I want to retract that because I watched Legends of the Fall again, and I think Legends of the Fall is his best role. So here's my trivia question to get us started. What do you think the critics gave Legends of the Fall on Rotten Tomatoes?
Brad, I'll let you guess first.
The critics, Rotten Tomatoes, because I like to do this when I watch a movie and I want to see how right I think I am and what did the geniuses think.
By the way, I'd like to. We started off the show with me asking how you're feeling, and now Brad and Tara didn't even get to introduce themselves. We're already into trivia. So anyway, Brad, what would you guess? Legends of the Fall.
65%.
Ooh, Tara.
I'm going to go with 43%, even though my teenage soul would have probably given it like a 93%.
I will say I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to say 78-ish. Like, I think it got good. Wasn't it?
See, that's what I would have thought. 58%.
Wow.
The fans liked it. I think the fans were in the 80s. But the critics did not love it, and I don't get it. I thought it was really.
Were they not?
I've never seen that
by
one.
The long hair and the piercing blue eyes of Brad Pitt.
I was going to say maybe they were afraid of their own masculinity if the men gave it a good score. But anyway, I was surprised by that. But
before Mark hijacks this any further than it's already gone, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, coming to Community Theater League opening night. Real quick, Tara, if you can start for us, maybe just your 30-second, who you are, why you're here today, and then pass it on over to Brad.
My name is Tara Deljanovan. I am the director of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that's why I'm here today. So,
awesome.
Over to Brad.
I'm Brad Heffner. I play Randall P. McMurphy in the show. That's what I am.
He plays Jack Nicholson.
I do play the Jack Nicholson role. If that's the easiest way to understand it, that's the way I usually explain to people. Yeah.
So, and just for a layman, if the show goes badly tonight, Tara can hide and pretend she has nothing to do with it. Brad can't because he's on. So
that is absolutely right.
It's out of my
hands, so I wash my hands of it.
That's very true. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I was just telling Mark, I've always just seen the clips. Like I've always through AMC, I watch half an hour of it and then the laundry goes off and I have to go fold clothes. But for anyone who hasn't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Tara, can you just give us kind of the elevator pitch of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Sure. A man who has been convicted several times, doesn't really feel like going to prison or the work farm. So he convinces the judge that he's crazy, ends up in the psychiatry ward, and kind of inundates himself to the other patients and challenges the head nurse on the ward.
And you heard that pitch and you said, I need Brad.
I was going to be, I never precast a show, but I have been in some shows with Brad before. We've shared the stage before, and I knew that I would be very disappointed did he not come and audition because he's always such a strong performer. So I was very excited when he showed up.
Well, so Tara, what other shows have you directed at? anywhere? CTL?
At CTL, I directed Same Time Next Year. And up when they had the studio theater, I directed Tuesdays with Maury. I've also directed A.R. Gurney's Sylvia, a couple of other shows. I used to direct the plays at my high school that I teach at, so I've directed quite a number of shows.
Awesome.
But you make so much more money directing for the CTL. You had to upgrade. It's all for the paycheck. So,
I'm sorry. My dogs are having a little.
That's fine. Can you bring them onto the screen? Can you?
Yes.
The dogs.
I'm gonna actually take my camera and I'm gonna move because they're driving me nuts.
That's fine.
All right. Well, while she's readjusting, for like, there's obviously shows that are known for the stage, known for the big screen. This is one that's so famous from Jack Nicholson. Have you watched during your ever since you've been cast and you've been rehearsing, have you watched the Nicholson performance, or are you staying away from that?
I'm staying away from it. I watched it back in high school. As you said, I'm a bit of a movie addict. I want to revisit it. I probably will after the show is done, but I did not want to be Jack Nicholson in this show. I wanted to do my own thing and show people something a little bit different.
So do you have any chance to fire in anything to ad lib, like You Can't Handle the Truth, or, any of the other? Do you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Do you have any Nicholson lines?
No, I don't do Nicholson lines. I just do lines from the Prince soundtrack to Batman. That's what I pull from. That's what I embroider.
Dream sequence with the bat dance.
Oh yeah,
it's really stellar.
So what?
I like it.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So opening night, so Brad, for you, since you're the lead, and what is your game day performance? Obviously, you've been in a bunch of shows before, but tomorrow's show will be different because you already have one under your belt. But today, what's your routine? What do you try to do to get yourself into ready to go when the curtain drops?
Oh man, I eat 5 raw eggs. I go for a 10-mile run. I bench about 350.
A little Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I do. No, I took the day off of work. I'm gonna get some sleep after this. Have a nice meal, and it's all just about being ready for the stage. If you were to ask me right now to recite any of my lines, I could not do it. I just live on that stage and die by it as well.
Wow. That's interesting.
So Tara, for you, as we talked a little bit before, an hour ago, what is it like because as a director, it's kind of you've done all you can do, and now you've a little bit washed your hands of it, and you watch it like an audience member, except with a little more anxiety. So what's your day like today?
That's right. I mean, the rest of the audience won't know if they screw up, but I'm going to know. So you're going to look out the audience. You're going to see me glaring. Don't drop.
That is one of the things that they used to remind me. Is if just because you screwed up, everyone, all you people know, but the audience probably doesn't know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But as a performer, it's very anxiety. It's very anxiety inducing as a performer, and I know some people really beat themselves up when they drop a line, but that's the beauty of every performance. You're getting a different performance every night because there's so many different factors. So just kind of have to toss it up to that.
As a director, are there things the first night that you're, I guess, looking for? Are there things that you've worked on or you've talked about with different people or different performers that this first night you're kind of itching to see how that works? Or what are some of those things that you're excited to see?
Besides obviously the main action that's going on, I'm really excited to see all of the background goings on because this takes place in a mental institution. There's going to be a lot more action going on in the background, even when there's big, juicy, dramatic moments going on. The rest of the patients are still going to be doing crazy stuff in the background and might even walk in front of the people who are talking because this is a mental institution. And it's really important to me that we have that reality.
Is it fair to say, did you guys almost have to do a choreography of the mental patients? Like, obviously it's not a dance number, but clearly there must be some sort of stage choreography, knowing like you're going to have these people kind of stumbling around the stage.
Yeah, I mean, most of them do have, there are certain moments where I tell them you cannot block this line of sight, or you can't go here during this particular moment, but I really gave them a lot of free rein to explore the stage and find stage business and what do they feel right for what their character would do in that moment. So there's really been a lot more freedom than I tend to give people in the past, just because of the context of the show.
Or is it because they're divas and you know they won't listen to you anyway?
Well, I'm not going
That's
to name
me.
names if that's what you're getting at, but I have a list.
So do you
may reveal it on the closing day? We'll see.
And for both of you that have been on stage or you've been involved in theater so much, do you think it's easier to do a show that's so well known, or do you think that makes it more challenging? Because the audience is already familiar and they have this idea of what it's supposed to look like.
Expectation of it.
It's sorry, Tara, do you mind?
No, absolutely. Go right ahead.
It's nice because it brings the audience in. They recognize the name. They're coming because they, not necessarily just because they recognize it, but that draws them in. And then we get a chance to show them something a little bit different from what they're familiar with. And that's the wonderful thing about this show.
And there could even be people coming to see this performance just because they liked the movie or the book, but they've never actually seen a stage performance before. Yeah. So that's always a really nice perk of doing a title that's well known.
Do you remember when they auditioned, how many people actually auditioned? Because one of the things while I let you think, one of the things that always shocks me when I go to community theater or even a lot of the high school shows is the amount of talent and just like amateur talent that's just kind of wandering the streets that has normal jobs that are normal people. And then you put them on stage and I'm always blown away at how good the performances are.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We've got a lot of talent in this area.
I mean, did you have 40 or 50 people audition?
I didn't. And we had around 20 and there are 16 roles. The interesting thing to note about this particular process is that CTL was doing Ragtime while Cuckoos Nest was going on, and there was only a few weeks between the two shows, and Ragtime had a cast of around 60. So I really had to scramble to fill about 3 roles in the show, and we didn't have a full cast until maybe a month into the show. Okay. Because it was so difficult to get people who could commit because Ragtime took so many of the local men.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out to any of your listeners. The male aspect is something that community theater struggles with. If you're a man and you want to get involved with theater, please do. We need gentlemen.
Especially little kids. If you when they have either Sprout Productions or even adult productions with children, my daughter always used to plead with her brother, like, you don't even have to be good. Just and I think he believed her from the fact that he wouldn't be any good, but he has yet to show up. But yes, there are lots of roles. But I never thought, it is one of the things I hadn't considered, that Ragtime was going on, because Ragtime just ended.
Yes.
Right. And Ragtime was absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And there's actually somebody in our cast who was also in Ragtime, and she's had no downtime in between. Sometimes she would spend part of her rehearsal at Ragtime and part with us. It just was absolute insanity. So props to her. But I can understand why some of the other people that normally would have come to the auditions for this show chose to not do so, because that was an emotional show. And
it's a lot.
This is an emotionally intense show, and it is indeed quite a bit.
So it runs this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon, and then next week it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon. So when you get, what happens? Like, what do you guys go through on Monday when you're doing 2 weekends and you get like through the first weekend and the kind of tension's over? And then are you bummed that Monday there's no show? Are you relaxed? Is it a welcome break? What goes through each of your minds come like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Well, I want to turn that back on you, Mark. You did It's a Wonderful Life. How did you feel when you had that downtime?
I kind of felt like I thought now that I was doing it and I was in a role, I wanted to keep going.
It's that momentum really helps.
And I didn't know because I don't remember. Will you rehearse again like Tuesday or will you just
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Okay. I don't remember if we did or not.
We had a pickup rehearsal. Usually it's much more relaxed, a lot more fun, but yeah.
Well, because I remember we added a show on Wednesday. So
that's right.
So I don't know, but yeah, that made me nervous too. Once we had the break,
I'm having bad flashbacks because I could not get a ticket to that show. It was sold out, so I'm starting to feel a little bitter. I really,
or maybe it was a blessing. You don't know.
It was a fantastic show.
Maybe
that's what I only heard good things about it.
So.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, is it challenging? Because this is, I asked this to one person once who is a big theater person who's directed multiple shows, and I never thought this answer was coming. But this was a musical, and the person said to me, I don't really like the music in this show. I kind of like the story, but I don't really like the music. Is it challenge? Because obviously you have personal favorites. You have ones you love more and less. Maybe you like the role, but you don't really love the story. You love the story, but you don't really like the role. Does that make it more fun because it's a different challenge, or does it make it harder if you're like, yeah, I'll do it, but it's not really my cup of tea?
Well, when I think about, we were both in To Kill a Mockingbird, and I was the busybody racist neighbor, which was, that's not me at all. So I liked the show, loved the message of the show, hated my character.
Yeah.
And neither one of us were very likable. You were less likable than me, though.
I was the worst in that show.
Yeah, you were the worst.
Isn't being the bad guy fun though? Isn't that?
Sometimes to an extent, but when you play so many bad guys so often, it sort of starts to make you feel a little bad yourself.
Like, I'm being cast in these roles for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it, because I'm usually cast as the busybody, the troublemaker. I've played the killer. I just don't play very likable characters usually. So I know. And I think I'm delightful, so I'm a little concerned.
You are delightful.
Well, so are you, Brad. So don't feel
thank
like
you.
You're a bad person either.
It's a mutual admiration society here.
See, I just think like Hannibal Lecter would be like the most fun role to play. I think it would be just a blast.
But it's fun to do different things. It's fun to show different ranges. It's when you hit one note all the time, it gets a little boring. Like it gets a little easy. You want to stretch your legs. You want to stretch your muscles. You want to do something a little different.
Brad, can you just dive into your role? And you don't have to like Actors Guild it if you don't want to. But can you just?
I mean, if you want to.
If you want to, you can. But can you just some of the challenges of this role, maybe compared to others? What were some things that you felt like you really got to dive into? Because like you said, you're trying to stay away from the Jack Nicholson part of it. But what was kind of, how do you feel like you've been able to put your imprint on it? Just talk about the role for a little bit.
One of my castmates said that like every interpretation of R.P. McMurphy, he said, was sort of like this truck driver, like sort of like hillbilly gusto person. So I tried to bring not like just more of a fun person, not necessarily like a dullard or trying not to swear.
Just do it.
Jerk. A jerk. Let's say that. More of a fun person, and also delving into the actual issues that R.P. McMurphy has, which are not always highlighted. They're mentioned in the show. He has multiple things that he has done wrong and negative quirks in his personality. And I tried to bring that to the forefront where, yes, he's helping these people. He's trying to bolster them, but he is a flawed person himself.
Unlike you.
I wouldn't be able to method act.
Yeah, you couldn't relate to that. Jeff has the unflawed character.
I don't know about that, but no, it's always interesting to hear somebody. I mean, you're getting complimented left and right up here. So I'm just curious as far as like diving into the role, how, are you excited about it? Like if you had to rank your roles, where does this one kind of fall in as far as like excitedness?
Oh, this is absolutely near the top. I tend to play smaller roles, like Tara mentioned in To Kill a Mockingbird. I was in about 2-3 scenes. So it was nice to sort of get to be more upfront. And of course, it's such an iconic role that I can't help but be flattered and excited to portray this character. Like, most people might not even know the name McMurphy, but they know Jack Nicholson from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They see him in the knit cap in front of the fence. It's wonderful. It's a great opportunity, and I'm so excited and honored that Tara gave it to me.
Awesome. You want to do some favorites? We like to do like rankings or lists or favorites.
Oh,
what what about as far as like with theater? Is there a show? Is there like, if you could see one show, what got you into it, or what would be the show you could go see if you could pick, Tara? It's loaded, I know.
Besides
I will answer it. However, if you would ask me like 3 hours from now, my answer might be entirely different.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really into Sam Shepard, and I'm dying to see a great production of True West again. I'm putting it out in the universe. I would also love to direct that show. But I got to see it a number of years ago on Broadway with John C. Reilly and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and they actually switched roles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not during the same performance, mind you, but but just knowing, like that, holy crap, I could come back next week and see them swap roles and see what's different. So, but yeah, that's definitely up there right now. But again, later on tonight, I could tell you something different, but for now, that's what it is.
Brad?
I'm a huge fan of the Irish-English playwright Martin McDonagh. I would love to see any performance of his work, especially The Pillow Man. I'd love to perform in any of them. But a more known name that I would love to see is Inherit the Wind. One of my favorite shows ever. I'd love to be in that. I'd love to see it. It would be fantastic.
I've actually been in that show twice.
Really?
Wow. Yes. When I was in college, I played E.K. Hornbeck. And a number of years ago, I was in a production down this way, and I was like one of the nosy neighbors.
I was just going to say, was Hornbeck the busybody racist?
No, Hornbeck was based on the journalist G.K. Chesterton and was the journalist covering the trial. It's a very juicy role, so I was very appreciative. So that's a classic. I would love for us to get the opportunity to do that show. So
absolutely.
So, out there in the universe, maybe it'll manifest.
Tara, without mentioning any shows, like I know, casts are they're like teams with like locker rooms and dressing rooms and stuff, and some are incredibly harmonious, and some there's friction and stuff. Have you ever had any that were so? There were maybe two people who didn't like each other so much that the show almost didn't go off, or you had to replace anyone mid. Does that ever happen, or is it not that bad?
As a director, I've this is going to make me sound like Miss Trunchbull or whatever her name is in Matilda, but I actually did have to kick a student out of a show once when I directed at my high school. But working with adults, I would say no, although in college I was in a very intense 2-person show and I hated my co-star. So,
well, when it's only two people, because you've heard these stories of people who in Hollywood where so-and-so was cast and the other person said, I'm not doing the show if they're in it and they have to replace them. And I just want a 2-person show. If you hated the co-star, that's rough. That's like marriage right there.
Tell me about
it. Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about it.
Jeff goes through it every day.
The almost.
I hope Jeff's wife doesn't watch this.
Jeff must be a real performer there with a lot of acting chops to come and do this show every day.
Every day. I have not done anything since high school. I went to a very small high school, so you kind of had to do you were just involved in a lot of stuff. So I was in Music Man one year. I had to rock on the train. I did we did a show called that I will always remember. We did a show called Curtain Going Up, and it is about a group of kids putting on a play. And so I had to play Buck O'Hara. And I remember the one day for whatever reason, I don't know why I did this, but the one day I pretended like I was holding a cigar through the entire thing because I don't know why I did it. And my teacher was like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just assumed you would have a cigar." And she was like, "Keep that. We're doing that." So I just remember Buck O'Hara, Curtain Going Up. But it is an enjoyable one to do it because you're essentially, if you're a high school kid, you are being a high school kid. So it's easy to get into character. It's easy to act, but that is the extent of my theater performance.
Well, like I said, Jeff, we need more men. Come on out.
Community
There you
theater.
go.
Although I think he was saying he wanted talented men. So
Yes.
But remember, talent is subjective.
It is, because I will tell you that train looked very realistic as I was walking back and forth on it on Music Day.
Well, I will say one of the things that I did during my show with the run of, I just wanted to do well, but I kind of related it to like a football season because we had like 8 shows and a football season is like 10 games. And I was like, I'm not gonna play well every game. I just need to play well a couple games. So that was one of the mental tricks that I had, because I remember on opening night I wasn't even nervous because I was like, it's the first game of the year, I'm gonna suck, and I don't need to be good tonight because I have 7 more games to play. And then once I got through the first one, and I didn't forget any lines, I had some timing issues about going on the stage too soon while they were doing set change, which was a little embarrassing. But like once you get through one, and then you're like, oh, okay, I can get through all these. So there is that. If it was just one show, I think I would have been much more of a nervous wreck than knowing that I had 8. So I don't know if that's different or not.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Mark. He said not every game in the season counted, but Mark definitely saved my bacon at least once, so he always brought it.
There you go.
He's just saying that to be nice.
Is he?
Yeah.
You think so?
I'm not. It happened.
Do you guys have?
You know what's funny about that? He mentions that. I remember the scene because we had the in It's a Wonderful Life when the Angel and George are in the boat house.
I've never seen it.
He's a loser. But anyway, I had a scene with my brother, and after it was over, and I thought we nailed it, and we got back, and he said to me, you skipped that whole part. And I was like, oh, you're right. I never said any of that. But he just covered it so smoothly. We got through the scene. I skipped like half the scene, and like I thought I was great. And if he didn't tell me, I probably would have never noticed. But yes, it does go the aspect of that your co-stars can bail you out at times but I'm sure the audience had no idea because he covered so smoothly. And then he was laughing when he told me, he's like, you skipped like half the scene. Well, we were running long.
I'm not surprised at all. Like at all. Do you guys, before you guys go, and we'll give you one last sales pitch here for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Do you guys he had talked about kind of like an embarrassing moment, like my corny cigar story. Do you guys have like a little like anecdote, or do you have something that you've had in the past experience that's happened to you that maybe an audience wouldn't have recognized, or something that's just kind of hee? Is there anything that comes to mind with that?
Run on stage with no pants? Anything?
Well, I come on stage in this show a couple times with no pants. So if that's a selling point, please come out.
Did you audition that way? Did you come in and be like, I'm ready?
That's how I go most places, is just hanging all out. And we should be allowed to be free. I think you gentlemen agree with me about that.
I can see casting. Well, the guy with no pants is ready. He's ready.
I mean, aren't we all living that way now with Zoom? And
exactly.
I actually do have pants on.
I was going to say, Jeff might not. You have no idea.
Oh, man. I hope he doesn't.
No way.
I'm just going to throw that out
We're
there.
We're sitting awfully close today for me to not.
So people can still get tickets. Go to just Google Williamsport Community Theater League. Go to the web. Actually, Jeff will tell you, because Jeff sets up all this. I am not the most tech savvy guy, But ordering tickets on the website is fantastic. You can pick your seats. They show you what's open. It's very easy. You can pick them up at the box office, which is what I always do because I'm afraid, like, what happens if my printer doesn't work or whatever. So they do have a wonderful system over there. And, this weekend and next weekend, and the way these shows always go is, like, opening night usually sells well. The second weekend sells better than the first weekend because as the buzz goes around and people are like, oh, it's really good. And, oh, there's only so many shows left. So I've always found it was better for most of the shows that my daughters have been in. I always wanted to buy them early because you just never know when the rush is going to come, because once word gets out that, oh, you should see this and so-and-so's in it, and then everybody has friends. And so if you want to get tickets for the show, do it, if not for tonight or this weekend, but order them soon, because once they start disappearing, they disappear quickly.
Exactly.
All right. One last sales pitch. Do you have anything for us?
A lot of people have put a lot of time and heart and emotion into the show, and it's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to be a whole roller coaster ride, and something that definitely deserves to be seen.
Wow.
It is a cool story. And because Nicholson is just so, one of the other things too, that I was shocked with my one theater experience. And it was so weird to be behind it because I'd seen my daughter in it so many times, but how much effort the costume people put in and the props people put in and the lighting. Like, you'll see lighting and music people, they'll just show up and you're like, oh, I've seen that. And then there's this issue and there's all these issues. And then when the curtain goes up, all the issues are resolved. And there's so many people that never step foot on stage that really make it go and really make it good. Not just the director. Of course, the director is the most, but
and I'm just a small cog in the wheel.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, you can tell people they're fired. You're a big cog in the wheel.
I could, but I've worked with a lot of people in the cast before, and they're dependable and reliable. So I kind of, let some things slide. So I didn't fire anybody this time around. So.
Did you make anyone cry?
I don't think so.
Not that I recall.
Not on stage. Maybe they went down in the green room and down a corner to cry.
They found a safe space and they went to the shower, turned it on fully clothed, and just sat and cried.
But honestly, we have had moments in rehearsals where other actors that were not on stage had to be emotional support buddies because some of the scenes were so intense and so emotional. And now I think we're at the point where, all right, we're good. We'll just make the audience weep, but we're good now.
Yeah,
it will be a challenging show from that aspect. It is an emotional. I think the thing I like about it, there's a lot of old theater that I don't like. I think even like traditional theater goers will like it. More contemporary movie viewers will like it because the story is so well known. As he was mentioning, things like Music Man and things that are from way back in the day. This is a little more contemporary, but it's still 40 some years old, at least the Nicholson performance. So I think this covers a lot of genres, and I think there's lots of people that like Cuckoo's Nest, and why a 2-weekend run will probably be good for it.
Yeah. And if they're not familiar with it, they absolutely should come and see it, because it is definitely going to be an experience. It's going to hit you in all the feels. And like Brad was saying, there's been so much work, both, on stage that you're going to see and behind the scenes. Theater really is a collaborative art, and the audience is included in that collaboration. So we need butts in the seat to kind of complete the circuit. So
here, I have one more question. Is all the COVID stuff because I was at shows, Brad, were you in a show that you had to wear masks, the clear masks?
Calendar Girls, yes.
Yes. All that stuff is gone, right? The audience.
That is gone. We don't have to be masked. The audience does not have to be masked. We will be wearing microphones still, just for the hard of hearing. But most of the COVID restrictions have been lifted.
But of course, if anybody in the audience wants to wear a mask, they're certainly welcome to do so.
Absolutely.
That must have been a challenge. It was different watching it because you could just tell. But acting with a mask on must have been a challenge.
Oh, well, for Calendar Girls, I was only in it for about 10 minutes and then I died of cancer. But after that, I think the ladies, because it was primarily ladies, did fantastic with it. Like it is, thank God they're clear, so they
Right.
get to express themselves. But it is a little bit of a different beast.
Yeah, it must have been. And it's good that we're back to. So when you go to see Cuckoo's Nest, it will look like theater, like you've always known, like you've always expected. And like,
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Nice. You want to close this out?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm always surprised when I go how much talent there is. I remember we went to see actually Sweeney Todd, and that was a musical as opposed to a play.
Yeah.
But and I don't really like Sweeney Todd. I saw the movie, I didn't like it, but
The stage show
guy
is
who
much
played
better.
Sweeney was Chris, who
Chris Staley,
come to know, who can really
Our
sing.
alumni.
Yeah, and I thought the performers were fantastic, even though it's not my favorite. Like I don't hate the show, but it's not my favorite. But the singing was so good, and there's multiple people, and you just I don't know why I always think this, but like you'll see someone that's really good, and then someone else perform, and you're just like they can't. The whole show can't be full of good performers, and then it is.
Yeah.
And every time I go, I am shocked at how much local talent we have.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that guy works there, and that guy does this, and that guy, and it's just, and and the director is a seventh grade English teacher, and they're normal schmucks like we are, but then they go get on stage, and it's really, really good.
And I will say,
Just to hammer the point home again, like you're right. It doesn't matter what you do. Maybe you have the talent, or the talent is there waiting to be molded. If you want to participate in community theater, please come out and do so. It's a wonderful way to meet people, to get outside of yourself, to get outside of the home and just have a lot of fun.
And even if you don't want to be on stage, if you have stage fright and you want to help backstage with props, that was another thing that surprised me about how many people, and we had some high school kids and some younger kids that just showed up and just wanted to help. And there they were backstage, they're handing you props, they knew where everything was. So there are lots of ways to be involved if you're petrified of getting out on stage, and you
100%.
can meet all the people and be a big part of the team.
And the people on stage get all the credit and all the applause, but the backstage people are the people who make it work. Stage managers, stage crews,
Amen.
all of them are essential. And we love you, even if you don't get to come out and do your vows.
Absolutely.
And there's some of them that are like, you couldn't drag me on stage. I love it. I love my role. I love to do costumes. I love to do or whatever, but they wouldn't go out on the stage at gunpoint. But they're still it's great.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Anything you can do that you enjoy and find fulfilling, and that helps foster this wonderful process.
It is fun to be part of. If you've always, Brad's right. If you've had an inkling, if you want to just have any role, it is a worthwhile. So the show's tonight. When did you cast? It's like a 2.5 month process.
At the end of February is when we cast the show, and I believe our read-through was like February 27th or 28th. So that's how long we've been working on it.
Yeah, it is a great experience to be a part of. If you've ever wanted to do it, Brad's right. You should look into it, and you don't have to be Jack Nicholson. There are lots of roles in the theater to help out and be part of the team. That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else to say.
Oh, no, okay. And
I do have more things to say, but he doesn't want to hear.
And then the last thing I would say, anybody who has seen the movie and thinks to themselves like, well, I've seen the movie or I know what else. One of my favorite movies growing up and still is Young Frankenstein. And I just recently, this past fall, went and saw Young Frankenstein, I believe at the CTL. And I'd never seen the production before and absolutely loved it. So anybody who is hesitant, like I've already seen this movie or I already know what happens, it's you just seeing the production, seeing it live, seeing something that maybe is a little different from what you've seen before is always worthwhile. And I can't explain, because I don't know. I always run into people that are like, well, I've already seen it, or I've seen the movie, or I've read the book. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not, it's different. It's not the same.
It is different. This script is not the script for the movie. The characters are different. The action is different. Like, you're going to get a different experience, not just because it's different people doing it. It's laid out differently. It's going to be unique, even if you've seen the movie.
It's like going to a concert. It doesn't sound like the radio. You know, the radio is perfect. They did 74 takes to get it perfect, but there's an energy to it that you have live that you don't have when it's pre-recorded.
That is 100% the nail on the head. It's the energy. Like, you don't get that with a movie, the live energy of people on stage projecting that to you.
Did you see that? Do you want to share
Totally
that one?
agree.
Do you want to share that?
Oh, we shared that. I think.
Did you share that earlier?
I think we shared this one.
Did you share
already.
this one?
Yeah, Brad Heffner, favorite actor. He deserves every award. I think we should.
David, I've known since high school. He's a wonderful man, very sweet guy.
Awesome.
And Brad gave him $5 to put that.
To put there.
I did.
I would have done it for 4.
Well, that's how I got on the show, is I slipped you that 4 slot.
Live and learn. Live and learn. Next time you'll save $1.
Brad and Tara, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this weekend.
No.
Well.
You don't say
break
good
a
luck.
leg. You say break a leg.
Break a leg.
Break a leg this weekend. And sincerely, still best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just Google it, Williamsport Community Theater. You can pick the days. You can go through and pick your seats and get on it, and you can pay right there through it's a great website. It's very user friendly, and there you go. There you have it.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching the Midday Show. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. And best of break a leg to the Cuckoo's Nest. Break a leg to the cast of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at the Community Theater League here the next 2 weekends. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thank you to Brad and Tara for coming on today, and we will see you guys next week.
Later.